Good afternoon, everyone. It's James Carpenter with Country Living. Today I want to talk about travel. Okay, travel for most people is vacation, and they go somewhere, Grand Canyon or something along those lines. So my travel started from the time I was born until I was a full-blown adult. So I know earlier I talked about my dad was in the Army. Well, my dad got out of the Army after the Second World War, and he located in Nelsonville, Ohio, for about 4 years, and he had 3 kids down in Nelsonville. And then he decided he was going to go back with the Air Force, and they sent him to an island called Guam. And in 1954, that's when I was born on the island of Guam. I had a sister. She was born on Guam. Then me, then my younger sister, and then my younger brother. We were all born there. The next duty station for him was Morocco. And that's on the west coast of Africa. So he lived in Morocco for a few years, and then they transferred him to Libya, which is North Africa, right on the Mediterranean Sea. And for us to take a vacation, we would cross the Mediterranean, and then we had access to Spain, Italy, and all that. So when we would go on vacation from Tripoli, we went to, first stop, Malta, and Spain. We went to a bullfight. I don't know how many people's ever seen one of those. And we went to Italy. Now, the thing in Italy, because of the cooking oils they use there, I believe it's mostly olive oil, there was a fragrance in the air. You could definitely tell it. And out of the 7 kids and my mom and dad, none of them really liked the food very well. I was the only one that really loved that Italian food. It was some good stuff. So I came back to the States, or I should say our family came back to the States in 1965. At that point in my life, I'm 11 years old. And that's when they located right here in this small town in Ohio. And I finished growing up. And of course, yesterday we talked about the Army thing. And I joined the Army. And the Army sent me to Germany for 2 years. And I was married, so I lived off post. I had a car. And a friend of mine had a girlfriend that was in the Air Force, but she was stationed in England. So we took a couple mini vacations and drove from West Germany to England, which means obviously we went through Europe to do that. So the thing I remember most about France, France, okay, first of all, roundabouts are fairly common here in the States now, but back then I had no clue what a roundabout was. And I got into what looked to be like a 6-lane roundabout. I was totally confused. I didn't know what to do. Everybody's blowing their horns at me, so I was doing everything wrong. But I managed to get out of there, and that kind of gave me a bad taste for roundabouts. But anyhow, we did in England. We went and seen a few things like them stones and some castles and different things like that. And likewise in Germany, I'm fascinated a little bit with castles. I went through a lot of castles in Germany. But on the way back from England, it was in 1978 when here in Ohio, you guys had the blizzard. Well, guess what? It was snowing over there too. And we were on the ferry, and we were We were headed across the English Channel, and they announced on the intercom that they might not be able to let us off the ship when we get to France. And of course, me being in the military, that's not good. I got to get back or I'm going to be AWOL. So fortunately, they let us off the ship. And this little car I had was called a Simca. And we're driving through this snowstorm. Maybe not quite as bad as the blizzard you had here, but I can assure you this. I seen all kinds of cars on their tops, like off the side of the road on the Autobahn. And I think what really helped was we got behind a semi-truck, and that semi-truck was like packing the snow down where the wheels are, and we just tried to follow semi-trucks most of the time. But long story short, we did make it back, which was good. So when I got out of the Army, and I talked about this in another video, I worked for Honda, and Honda sent me to Japan a couple different times, 3 weeks at a time. So that was some more experience. I'm trying to think if I'm leaving anything else. We had those Japan trips. We had, all the other stuff. So basically, the bottom line is this. From an early age, I not only lived overseas for the first 11 years, but was transferred back later to those other two locations, Germany and then Japan. So I've traveled a lot in my lifetime. I've seen a lot, and I've actually ran into people that have only been in 1 or 2 counties in the whole state. You know, they haven't been anywhere. But what I took home from this is I learned the cultures of other countries. I seen how they lived. I observed it a lot, and that knowledge helped me out tremendously. Now, to improve upon that, when I got out of the Army, I talked about working at that prison. And at the prison, I learned a new language, and some people may recognize this, but the language was Ebonics. I learned just from listening to the people in the penitentiary. You just pick up on it. And I was able to mimic that language, and I got really good at it. And I had fun with it a few times. I could be like checking out in a Walmart, and maybe there was something that got under my skin a little bit, and I would come back with Ebonics speaking language, and I think it kind of freaked people out because I'm white, I'm clean cut, I keep my hair cut, and all of a sudden they hear a total different voice coming out of me. One time I was in downtown Columbus, Ohio, and there was a car full of other people that speak Ebonics, and I was, getting ready to cross the road, and I thought, just for the heck of it, I'm going to scream something out in Ebonics. And boy, it rolled their heads. They were looking around everywhere. And there wasn't nothing out there but this white boy. So that was kind of comical. Probably actually dangerous, but I feel fortunate to have had a life where I've seen most of the world. I've got to study other people, and another ability I got from all that, by being in all them different countries, I can almost look at somebody and I can tell pretty much what region of the planet they're originally from. which that's a pretty neat ability in itself. I could ramble all day. I hope you find this interesting. I'm going to end the video now, and I'll talk to you later.